Welcome to Hello Unknown, a podcast exploring the hidden parts of the human experience. I'm Jonathan Wright. Today, good lost, bad lost. I have done something strange and probably unique. In fact, I'm pretty sure no one else has done this, because why? Why would anyone do this? Anyway, what is it? I have only watched the first 10 episodes of the TV show Lost and the last 10 episodes of Lost, and that's it. Nothing in between. You don't need to know about Lost to listen to this. I barely do, and I wrote this episode. I'll catch you up. Here's a synopsis of its 6 seasons adapted from Wikipedia. Oh, and spoilers, I guess. There are spoilers. Let's go. Season 1, a plane crashes on a tropical island. There's a smoke monster, a polar bear, and bad guys called Others. Also, there's flashbacks and lots of acting. They really act hard on this show. Good on them. Season 2, they find guns and medicines, which 2 survivors fight over and a third one gets, because, surprise, who would have thought? Also, a man lives in a hatch and presses a button. That's Season 2. Season 3, there's time travel now, inexplicably, so they take advantage of that. I would. The Others, they're bad guys, but only mostly bad guys. And also we learn that flashbacks aren't flashbacks. Flashbacks are flash-forwardses. So if you're lost now, everyone else was too. Now Season 4, the survivors have survived and they leave the island. Then a guy moves the island by turning a frozen wheel. He is teleported to the Sahara. Then, because we have 2 more seasons, they all must go back to the island. Season 5, time is meaningless, so is plot. The hero rides planes hoping they crash. They go back to the 70s, and they have to detonate a nuclear bomb on the island because they must prevent electricity. Season 6, the smoke monster returns. He forces war between good and evil. What is life? Who am I? When am I? Is anything real? Timelines divide. We flash sideways. They need to turn off the island. The hero dies. They were always in limbo. And now you're up to date. It was 12 years ago when I first watched the show. I watched Lost because my friend, Robbie Goodrich, said, "Bro, you have to watch Lost," which was aggressive, but Robbie Goodrich, who is now also a lawyer, is fairly convincing. I gave in. I borrowed his Lost Season 1 DVDs, and I sat on my parents' fake leather sectional to watch alone in my freezing cold basement. I put in the first disc, and I loved it. I wrote a pretentious review on Facebook. I said this: the first few episodes of Lost have a certain beauty that I've yet to come across in any other TV show. The wide island seascape, the quiet fear of the jungle, the visceral pain, anxiety, wonderment, all conveyed with a spareness of word and a beautiful classical soundtrack. It was so good. And then, very soon, it really wasn't. It was maybe episode 10 or 11 when I stopped watching. I thought the quiet mystery of the first few episodes had faded. Now it felt overacted and overwritten, especially the flashbacks. Anyway, reasonable people, like my friend Robbie Goodrich, who's fairly reasonable, we can disagree. The point is that I stopped watching. Then, years later, my girlfriend was finishing off the Lost box set, and all she wanted to do was watch the ending. So we watched together, the last 10 episodes. And all I can say is this: what the hell? People were mad. That's an understatement. People were very mad about the ending. Lost Twitter, which is a hole I hope I never have to crawl down, Lost Twitter took it upon itself to tell the show creator how he had wasted 6 years of their lives. George R.R. Martin, the author of Game of Thrones, told The New Yorker his biggest fear in ending his own series was, what if I do a Lost? Which, yeah, they sort of did. But anyway, it wasn't George's fault. Poor George. The point for Lost, I gather, was that the ending had basically nothing to do with the story that came before. Each season introduced this new plot point, or many, many new plot points, new threads to pull on, and viewers wanted to see them tied off, nicely, in a neat bow. But it didn't happen. Still, for all the jokes, For all the criticism, for all the angry Lost Twitter tweets, I think we can agree on this. There's a good Lost, and there's a bad Lost. You never want to know what's coming in a TV show. If you know what's coming, it's boring. Nobody wants to watch that show. Except for Peppa Pig, I guess. My son loves Peppa Pig. Peppa loves blowing bubbles. George is playing with a dinosaur. So yeah, Peppa Pig notwithstanding, nobody wants to watch the show which telegraphs exactly what's going to happen. And lots of people loved Lost. It's because it's the exact opposite. In that show, the viewer was so lost, just like the survivors were lost. In any moment, anything could happen, and you knew it. And to viewers, that was exciting, really exciting, no matter how ridiculous it became. So while the show continued, most viewers would probably agree it was good Lost. It wasn't until it ended, and the writers attempted to resolve everything and failed, that it became bad Lost. So, good Lost. I've had that. Good Lost was my first love. I was 10 years old, so my puka shell necklace and spiked tips, not there yet. But I did have a girlfriend. She was Adrienne. I'm changing names, by the way. Anyway, Adrienne was a twin and had wavy blonde hair. I remember lending her my sweater at grade camp. How intimate that felt. We might have held hands. I can't remember. We kissed each other on the cheek when we were dared to. It was after school, and there was a crowd watching. This was the good Lost, the first few episodes, that quiet, wandering uncertainty. What I remember most about it is what wasn't there. There was no intent. I was lost in the best sort of way. It just was for a while, until it wasn't. I don't even remember it ending. It just kind of faded away, as things do when you're young. But wherever there's good Lost, bad Lost is there, ready and waiting to ruin everything. Maya was next after Adrienne. I was 15. Maya was Italian. I think she was Italian. She had curly blonde hair, a lighter blonde with tight curls. We had math class together. I remember my friend Alice saying, "Hey, Maya likes you." I hadn't thought much about Maya before, but if she liked me, then this had to mean something, so I asked her out. We went to see Domestic Disturbance with John Travolta and Vince Vaughn. Rotten Tomatoes existed then, I have no excuse, but that was our date. After hearing me recount this with disapproval, Alice, the girl who had set us up, paused and said, "That's okay, the boy gets to pick on the first date." But Maya never got to one-up this Travolta masterpiece because there wasn't a second date. In came the polar bears and the smoke monster. 2 weeks after it began, I panicked and called it. This was bad Lost. Then there was Jess. I was 16, grade 11 now. That's 11th grade for you Americans. I know it's confusing. Her boyfriend had just broken up with her abruptly and rudely. When we met, Jess told me the story of the evil boyfriend, and I said, "What a jerk, what a horrible thing to do." So then we started dating. We held hands once on a rock on this island where my parents and her parents both have a cabin. And that was it, really. I don't remember a date, just this little meetup. Now, time travel and flashbacks and a guy pressing a button in a bunker. It was 2 weeks again. I panicked and I broke up with her abruptly and rudely. An evil boyfriend. Bad Lost again. It was all bad Lost now. I couldn't handle it. It should have been good Lost. I was a teenager. I didn't need to know if I would marry the girl I was dating. I didn't need to weigh strengths and weaknesses, pros and cons. I didn't need to analyze at all. I could have just explored and had fun. But I couldn't have fun. I needed to know where I was going. I needed to follow the strings and know how they'd be tied off. In a neat bow, preferably. A marriage bow. I wanted to know what would happen before anything had really happened. And the distance between that unknown future and the murky present made me feel very anxious all the time. I didn't want smoke monsters, nuclear bombs, or flashes sideways. I wanted to know the end, and I wanted it to be a good one. But sometimes there is no satisfying ending. Yeah, so then it reaches its peak. My friend sets me up with Rose because John, she likes books and you like books. That was his reason, really. Anyway, I was 20, and when he sets us up, despite the fact that we're really similar in some ways and not particularly well suited for each other, despite the fact that she lives like 3 hours away from me and that we'd only communicated by Facebook, despite my intense anxiety, I say, let's do this. And now I'm turning the frozen wheel that moves an island. I'm being transported to the Sahara. But instead of saying, oh cool, how creative and interesting, I'm saying, oh God, where am I? Where am I? So I say, Rose, come to Vancouver. And she comes to Vancouver, and we have a date which I'm dreading before and I'm terrified during, which wasn't her fault, of course. I can't imagine how boring it must have been. But I keep going. And now I'm traveling in time and preventing electricity with a nuclear bomb, and I invite her to work with me at camp that summer, effectively to live with me for 2 weeks, even though we've only gone on one date, and the smoke monster is now forcing a war between good and evil. And then she comes up, and I'm so cripplingly anxious, like crippling. I can't eat, I can't sleep, that the day after she arrives, I go to her and I ask her to go home. Which is maybe one of the cruelest things I've ever done. I was sort of addicted to Bad Lost, in a sense. I hated it, but I just kept pushing because I wanted that perfect ending. And the stakes weren't just about me. I hurt 3 people along the way. Not on purpose, but I hurt them, and I deeply regret it. I didn't really look then. Didn't have a really close look at it, the reason behind my anxiety, this Bad Lost, not until years later. But I understand now. What I believed, and what I still believe deep down in some ways, is that everything has to have this sort of narrative arc, with a positive conclusion where everything comes together. So Good Lost, as the antidote to this, or the opposite approach, isn't just being relaxed about things. Good Lost is work. It's difficult. Good Lost is a confidence. It's a sustained, conscious belief that I'll be all right if I wander. I'll be fine, even happy, if I have an adventure and never quite find my way. It's also the knowledge that not all roads lead to something. Some dead end, or worse. Sometimes they end up exactly where I don't want to be. But that, it's okay too. That's Good Lost. A friend of mine, Cam, he said the ending of Lost, quote, really chapped my ass, end quote. He said Lost was incredibly fun the whole way through, that there were so many unanswered questions, even to a fault, even in moments where he hated it for not giving him the answer, he loved it. Cam knows how to do Good Lost, swimming in the warm, dark unknown. But when his focus shifted from wandering to finding an answer, then it was Bad Lost for him. I wonder if any ending could have satisfied him. Maybe not. Maybe there was no way to tie the threads together into any neat and satisfying, complete resolution. I met my wife in July of 2009. In September of that year, we started dating, and she broke up with me in October because she said she wasn't sure anymore. I remember being upset at first, and then almost immediately, even on the phone with her, she was telling me, just realizing, well, yeah, I've been there. In April of 2010, though, she asked me out, and we started dating again. We would watch movies and TV shows in her parents' basement on their projector screen. And one of the things she really enjoyed was a certain TV show. She was almost done, and more than anything, she just wanted to finish it, and she asked me if I'd watch the ending with her. Years before, I'd watched the first 10 episodes of this show, and I didn't really like it. But this time, I thought, I don't know, I like her, this girl, maybe. So why not? Might as well get a little lost. Our episode today is written and produced by me, Jonathan Wright. More production and editing, along with the music, is by Taylor Swindells of Neighborhood Libraries. Special thanks for help with this episode to Drew Gilmore, Maddie Lee, Jared Ing, and Ian Wright. If you love us, please rate and review, post on Instagram, text your friends, whatever you can to spread the word. And you can contribute to our Patreon at patreon.com/hellounknown and get immediate access to all 6 episodes in Season 1. Also, if you have suggestions for new episodes or comments, you can email us at hellounknownpod@gmail.com, or you can tweet at us at hellounknownpod. Episode 5 of 6 is released next week. Please subscribe and you won't miss it. Thanks for listening.